was drunk when he submitted his profile to the Galactic Compatibility Index. He sat alone in his small cabin on the cargo ship Dusty Dream, watching the stars slide past his window, and thought about how empty his life had become. 32 years old, no family, no home planet he cared about, just endless runs between stations, hauling boxes for companies that did not know his name. The GCI was famous across all known space, the most advanced matchmaking system ever created. It had paired billions of beings from hundreds of species, and its success rate was nearly perfect. The AI behind it was so complex that no one fully understood how it worked. It looked at everything about a person: their genes, their memories, their fears and hopes and secret dreams. Then it found someone who fit. But humans rarely got matches. Humanity had only joined the galactic community 40 years ago, and most species still saw them as primitive, fragile, short-lived. What self-respecting alien would want to bond with a creature that died of old age before reaching 100 years? Filled out the profile anyway. He uploaded his photo, his medical records, his psychological evaluation from the Haulers Guild. He wrote a short description of himself: human male, cargo pilot, likes quiet evenings and bad coffee, looking for someone who doesn't mind that I talk to my ship like she's a person. He pressed submit and laughed at himself. Then he went to sleep. The notification came 3 days later. Was eating breakfast in the ship's tiny kitchen when his personal terminal made a sound he had never heard before. A priority alert. He looked at the screen and felt his heart stop. Match found. 99.97% compatibility. Species. Name: Third Blade of the Obsidian Throne. He stared at the words. They did not make sense. He read them again. They still did not make sense. His shipmate walked into the kitchen. Was a friendly species with 4 arms and blue skin. He and had worked together for 6 years. They were not close friends, but they trusted each other. Looked at its face and stopped moving. What happened? You look like someone died. Turned the screen toward him. Read the words. All 4 of his arms went stiff. The color drained from his blue face until he looked almost gray. This is a joke, said. This has to be a joke. The GCI doesn't joke. Then it's broken. It has to be broken. Sat down heavily. Do you know who is? I know they are warriors. Warriors, laughed, but there was no humor in it. The conquered 17 star systems. They eat species that annoy them, and is the worst of all of them. She is the third blade of the Obsidian Throne, the Emperor's personal executioner. She ended the siege of IV by herself. By herself. She killed 8,000 enemy soldiers in one night. Felt cold. That's not possible. I saw the footage. Everyone has seen the footage. She moved through them like they were made of paper. Grabs arm with 2 of his hands. You have to decline. Tell the GCI you made a mistake. Tell them anything. Tried. He opened the response menu and selected the option to withdraw. A new message appeared on his screen. Withdrawal request DNIED. Match acceptance confirmed by SYRA-ANNIS. Under AI Imperial Law, refusal of accepted match CONSTITUTES declaration of war against House ANNIS. Compliance required within 72 standard hours. Made a sound like a dying animal. Read the message 5 more times. Each time the words stayed the same. She already accepted, said. His voice sounded strange to his own ears, far away. She accepted before I could decline. Then you run. We change course right now. We go to the outer rim. Don't go there. You can hide. For how long? A year, 10 years, shook his head. And what happens to you, to the ship? If I run, I'm declaring war on her house. They'll hunt everyone connected to me. Had no answer. They both knew he was right. Spent the next hour reading everything he could find about. The information was terrifying. She was over 300 years old. Lived for centuries, and she had spent most of hers fighting. Her body count was estimated in the tens of thousands. She had never lost a duel. She had never shown mercy. In one famous incident, she had torn apart an enemy general with her bare claws while his army watched. There were pictures. She stood 8 feet tall, covered in scales as black as space itself. Her eyes burned amber like dying stars. Her claws were as long as fingers, and they dripped with venom that could kill in seconds. She was beautiful in the way a nuclear explosion was beautiful. Deadly, absolute, beyond human scale. And the GCI said she was his perfect match. Laughed. He could not help it. The situation was so absurd that laughter was the only response that made sense. He laughed until his stomach hurt, until tears ran down his face, until looked at him with genuine concern. "Are you all right?" "No," said. "I'm going to die. The most advanced AI in the galaxy looked at my soul and decided that my perfect partner is a monster who eats people. I am absolutely not all right." But even as he said it, something strange happened. The fear was still there, but underneath it he felt something else. Curiosity. The GCI had a 99.97% success rate. It did not make mistakes. It did not match people randomly. If it said and were compatible, there had to be a reason. What could a human cargo pilot possibly have in common with the most dangerous warrior in the galaxy? He thought about the question for a long time. Then he set a course for tried to talk him out of it, refused to listen. If he was going to die, he wanted to understand why. He wanted to look this monster in the eye and ask her one simple question. Why me? 72 hours later, his ship entered orbit around a world of black stone and red storms. The Obsidian Throne, home of the Empire, the place where would meet his match, one way or another. He took a deep breath and prepared to descend into hell. The shuttle descended through clouds of red dust and black smoke, watched through the window as the capital city rose up to meet him. Towers of dark stone reached toward the sky like claws. Rivers of molten rock flowed between the buildings, casting everything in an orange glow. The air itself seemed to burn. An escort waited for him at the landing pad. 4 warriors in black armor, each one nearly 8 feet tall. They looked at with expressions he could not read. Amusement, maybe, or hunger. It was hard to tell the difference. "Human," one of them said. The word sounded like an insult. "Follow." They led him through streets filled with civilians. Everyone stopped to stare. Had never felt so small in his life. He was a child walking among giants, a mouse in a house of cats. They pointed at him and made sounds that might have been laughter. He kept his eyes forward and tried not to show fear. The palace rose at the center of the city. It was carved from a single piece of black crystal, so large that could not see where it ended. The doors alone were 50 feet tall. They opened as he approached, revealing a throne room that seemed to stretch forever. Hundreds filled the chamber, warriors, nobles, servants. They formed a corridor leading to a raised platform at the far end. And there, standing before a throne of black metal, was. The pictures had not prepared him. Nothing could have prepared him. She was magnificent, terrible. Her scales caught the light and scattered it like stars. Her amber eyes fixed on the moment he entered, and he felt their weight like a physical force. She wore armor of red and black, and a sword hung at her hip that was longer than was tall. Every line of her body spoke of power, of death, of centuries spent as the galaxy's most perfect weapon. Walked toward her. His legs felt weak, but he did not let them shake. He would not give these creatures the satisfaction of seeing him tremble. The crowd whispered as he passed. He caught fragments of their words. Tiny, weak. How long before she kills it? They were not even trying to hide their mockery. To them this was entertainment. The great third blade matched with a human. What a wonderful joke. He reached the platform and stopped. Looked down at him. He looked up at her. Neither spoke. Then did something unexpected. She turned to the assembled crowd and raised one clawed hand. "Leave us." The whispers stopped. The nobles exchanged glances of surprise. No one moved. "I said leave." Her voice dropped to something cold and dangerous. All of you now. They left, warriors and nobles and servants, all of them streaming toward the exits like water draining from a tub. Within minutes, the enormous throne room was empty except for Anne. She stepped down from the platform. Up close, she was even more terrifying. Could see the individual scales on her skin, the way her muscles moved beneath them like coiled serpents. Her claws clicked against the stone floor as she walked. She stopped directly in front of him, close enough that he could feel the heat radiating from her body. "You came," she said. Her voice was different now, quieter, almost uncertain. "I didn't have much choice." "You had choices. You could have run, you could have hidden. Many would have." She tilted her head, studying him with those burning eyes. "The algorithm said you would not be afraid of me. I wanted to see if it was true." Forced himself to meet her gaze. "It's not true. I'm terrified." "Then why did you come?" "Because I wanted to understand." He swallowed hard. "The GCI doesn't make mistakes. It said we're compatible. I want to know why. What could someone like me possibly have in common with someone like you?" Was silent for a long moment. Then she turned and walked toward a side door. "Follow me. I will explain." She led him through corridors of black stone, past guards who bowed as she passed, until they reached a private chamber. It was smaller than expected. Simpler. A bed. A table. Windows that looked out over the burning city. This was not the room of a monster. It was the room of someone who valued quiet. "Sit," said, pointing to a chair. Sat. She remained standing, her back to him, looking out the window. "Do you know what it means to be the third blade?" she asked. "You're the Emperor's executioner. I am his weapon, his tool. When someone needs to die, I kill them. When a war needs to end, I end it. I have done this for 300 years. She turned to face him. "I am the strongest warrior in the Empire. No one can defeat me. No one can even challenge me. And that means no one wants me." Frowned. "I don't understand." "The respect strength above all else, but I have too much of it. The males fear me. The females resent me. Everyone sees me as a threat or a prize to be won or a tool to be used. No one sees me as a person." Her voice cracked slightly. "I have spent 3 centuries as the most respected being in this empire, and I have spent 3 centuries completely alone." Stared at her. He had expected many things from this meeting: threats, violence, death. He had not expected pain. He had not expected loneliness. "Why the GCI?" he asked softly. "Why look for a match outside your species?" "Because I had tried everything else. I submitted my profile as a desperate act. I thought it would find nothing. I thought it would confirm what I already knew, that there was no one in the galaxy for me." She laughed bitterly. "Instead, it found you. A human. A species we consider barely civilized. A creature I could kill with one finger. So why accept the match?" Walked toward him slowly. She knelt down so their eyes were level. This close, could see the exhaustion in her face, the weight of centuries pressing down on her. "Because the algorithm said something about you that it has never said about anyone else. It said you would not be afraid to treat me as an equal. It said you would see me, not my reputation, not my kills, me." She reached out and touched his face with one claw, so gently that he barely felt it. "Is that true, human? Can you look at me and see something other than a monster?" Looked at her. He saw the scales and the claws and the eyes like burning suns. He saw the body that had killed thousands. But underneath all of that, he saw something else, something familiar. He saw someone who was tired of being alone. "Yeah," he said quietly, "I think I can." For the first time, smiled. The first week was a disaster. Woke on his second morning in the palace to find standing over his bed with a collection of skulls. She had arranged them carefully on a tray, like flowers, and she looked genuinely proud of herself. "I brought you gifts," she said. "These belong to my greatest enemies. This one was a warlord who killed 10,000 innocents. This one was an assassin who tried to poison the emperor. This one insulted my honor at a feast. I thought you would appreciate their deaths. Stared at the skulls. One of them still had dried blood on it. That's, very thoughtful, but humans don't usually give each other skulls. His face fell. You do not like them. It's not that I don't like them, it's just, he searched for the right words. Where I come from, we give different kinds of gifts. Flowers, food, books, things that are alive, not dead. She considered this. I could bring you a live enemy, you could kill them yourself. That's not what I meant. The next few days were full of similar misunderstandings. Tried to show affection in the only ways she knew. She challenged anyone who looked at to ritual combat. She growled at servants who came too close to him. She insisted on tasting all his food first to check for poison, which meant most of his meals were cold by the time he ate them. Tried to explain human customs, but they made no sense to her. The idea of giving flowers as gifts confused her, because flowers died and therefore showed weakness. The concept of holding hands seemed pointless, because it did not demonstrate combat ability. When he mentioned kissing, she told him that among the pressing faces together was a fighting technique used to headbutt opponents. Your species is very strange, she said after another failed attempt at what called a normal date. They were sitting in her private garden, surrounded by plants that looked like they wanted to eat them. You show affection through weakness, through softness. How do you survive? We work together, we take care of each other, shrugged. A single human is weak, but humans in groups can do anything. We survived our world by cooperating, not by fighting. Thought about this, so your strength comes from connection. I guess you could say that. How do you build connection? Smiled. It was the first time she had asked a question like that. Let me show you. He started small. He asked about her day, not her kills or her duties, but the simple moments. What did she eat for breakfast? Did she sleep well? Was the weather always this hot, or was it a seasonal thing? At first, she did not understand why these questions mattered. They contained no tactical information. They served no strategic purpose. But kept asking. Every morning, every evening, he asked about the small things, and slowly began to answer. She told him about the tea she liked, brewed from leaves that grew only on volcanic mountains. She complained about the emperor's boring meetings. She admitted that she sometimes talked to her sword when she was alone, telling it about her worries and fears. I have never told anyone that, she said quietly after the sword confession. They would think I was weak. I talk to my ship, said. I've been doing it for years. I call her Dusty and I tell her everything. Does that make me weak? Looked at him for a long moment. No, it makes you real. Taught her other things. He cooked human food for her in the palace kitchen, simple dishes from Earth's colonies. She found the textures strange and the flavors soft, but she ate everything he made and asked for more. He showed her human music, playing old songs from his terminal while they sat on her balcony and watched the sun set over the burning city. He told her jokes, terrible jokes that he had learned from other cargo pilots, and when she did not understand them, he explained the humor until she laughed. The first time laughed, truly laughed, her guards burst into the room with weapons drawn. They had never heard that sound before. They thought she was being attacked. Leave us, commanded, still laughing. I am only happy. The guards stared at her like she had grown a second head. Then they slowly backed out of the room, clearly unsure if their commander had lost her mind. The court noticed the changes, was softer now. She smiled sometimes. She no longer growled at everyone who approached her. She spent less time in training halls and more time with the human. Rumors spread through the palace like fire. The third blade is weakening, they whispered. The human has broken her spirit. Heard the rumors. So did. She tried not to let them bother her, but could see the tension in her shoulders, the way her claws extended slightly when nobles looked at her with contempt. They think I am making you weak, he said one night. They are fools. Are they? What happens to your position if people stop fearing you? Was quiet for a long time. I do not know. For 300 years, fear was all I had. It was my protection, my power, my prison. She looked at with those burning eyes. But now I have something else, something better, and I find that I do not care what they think, even if it costs you everything. She reached out and took his hand. Her claws were careful, gentle, barely touching his skin. I have killed more beings than most people can count. I have conquered worlds. I have ended wars. None of it made me happy. None of it made me feel alive. She squeezed his hand softly. You make me feel alive, you and your strange human ways. If that is weakness, then I will be weak. I am tired of being strong alone. Felt his heart swell. This creature, this magnificent, terrifying warrior who could destroy armies with her bare hands, was choosing him, choosing softness, choosing connection. You're not weak, he said. You're the strongest person I've ever met. It takes strength to change. It takes strength to be vulnerable. Leaned down and pressed her forehead against his, a gesture of deep trust. Then teach me more, human. Teach me how to be strong in your way. I will, promised, for as long as you'll let me. Outside the window, the red sun set over the obsidian city. Inside, two lonely souls from different worlds held each other close and pretended the universe outside did not exist. But the universe was watching, and not everyone was happy with what they saw. The attack came on a market day. Had wanted to explore the lower city. After weeks in the palace, he felt trapped. He missed the freedom of his cargo runs, the simple pleasure of walking through crowded stations and talking to strangers. Had duties with the emperor that morning, so convinced her guards to escort him to the markets. The lower city was different from the palace, louder, dirtier, more alive. Merchants sold weapons and armor and strange foods that moved on their plates. Children chased each other through narrow alleys. Workers hauled cargo that reminded of his old life. For the first time since arriving, he felt almost normal. The guards stayed close, but asked them to give him space. They were drawing too much attention. Everyone knew who protected the human now, and their presence made the locals nervous. After much argument, the guards agreed to watch from a distance. That was the mistake. Was examining a stall that sold human goods, imported items from Earth's colonies, when he heard a sound behind him. He turned. 4 warriors stood there. They wore no house colors. Their armor was plain black. Their faces were hidden behind masks. Human, one of them said, the soft creature who ruined the third blade. You should not have come here alone. Looked for his guards. They were gone. Someone had drawn them away. This was planned. I don't want trouble, he said, backing up slowly. Too late for that. The lead warrior drew a blade that crackled with energy. House sends a message. The third blade has become weak. Her pet human is proof of that. When we bring your body to the palace, everyone will see the truth. She will be destroyed and our house will rise. Kept backing up. His mind raced. 4 warriors against 1 unarmed human. There was no scenario where he won this fight. The logical choice was to run, to scream for help, to do anything except stand and fight. But something strange happened inside. A cold calm settled over him. His fear did not disappear, but it became distant, separate, like it belonged to someone else. He had spent his whole life surviving. Hull breaches, pirates, cheating merchants, and violent criminals. He had never been strong, never been fast, never been special, but he was still alive. And he was still alive because he had learned one simple truth. Humans did not give up. The first warrior lunged at him, did not try to block. Instead, he threw himself sideways, crashing into a market stall. Bottles shattered around him. He grabbed the largest piece of broken glass and kept moving. The warriors laughed. It thinks it can fight. I'm not fighting, said. I'm surviving. He ran, not away from them but deeper into the market, through narrow alleys where their large bodies struggled to follow, past stalls that he knocked over behind him, creating obstacles. He was smaller than them, weaker than them, but he was also faster in tight spaces. They caught him in a dead end, A small courtyard with walls too high to climb. Turned to face them, the glass shard in his hand. Blood dripped from his palm where he gripped it. He did not notice. "Nowhere left to run," the lead warrior said. Good smiled. It was not a nice smile. "Now I can stop running." He attacked first. The warriors did not expect that. Humans were supposed to cower. Humans were supposed to beg. This human screamed like a wild animal and threw himself at them with nothing but broken glass and desperate fury. The next few minutes were chaos, could not match them in strength or skill, but he fought dirty. He went for eyes and joints. He used the environment, throwing dust in faces, smashing things into kneecaps. When one warrior grabbed him, he bit down on the creature's hand hard enough to taste blood. Blood burned like acid in his mouth. He did not care. They hurt him. Claws tore through his flesh. A blade cut his shoulder to the bone. A kick broke ribs that stabbed into his lungs. Pain became everything, a red ocean that he swam through with desperate strokes. Any other species would have collapsed. Any sane creature would have stopped. Was human. Humans were persistence predators. They had evolved to chase prey until it dropped from exhaustion. They had evolved to keep going when everything said stop. He killed the first warrior with a shard of glass through the eye. The creature dropped like a stone. The other three hesitated. This was not supposed to happen. This fragile human was supposed to die quickly. Used their hesitation. He grabbed the fallen warrior's blade, too heavy for him to swing properly, and stabbed it into the second warrior's knee. The creature screamed and fell. Stabbed again, and the screaming stopped. 2 warriors remained. 2 warriors who now looked at this bleeding, broken human with something new in their eyes. "Fear." "What are you?" one of them whispered. "I'm nobody," he said. His voice was wet with blood. "I'm just a cargo pilot, but I'm her cargo pilot, and you hurt the wrong person." They ran. The 2 remaining warriors, each one capable of killing a dozen humans without effort, turned and fled from this dying creature who refused to fall. Watched them go. Then his legs gave out, and he collapsed into a pool of his own blood. That was how found him. She had sensed something wrong, had torn through the city searching for him, following screams and destruction until she reached the courtyard. She found 2 dead warriors, a broken blade, and lying in the dust, still breathing despite wounds that should have killed him 10 times over. She fell to her knees beside him. Her hands, which had ended so many lives, trembled as they touched his face. "Look at me." His eyes opened, unfocused, fatting, but he smiled when he saw her. "Hey," he whispered, "I told you, I've seen scarier things than you." Then he passed out. Screamed. It was a sound that shattered windows and stopped hearts. The third blade of the obsidian throne gathered the broken human into her arms and ran for the palace, faster than she had ever moved in combat. He would not die. She would not allow it. The galaxy itself would burn before she let this human slip away. But as she ran, she realized something. The recordings of this fight would spread. Everyone would see what had happened. Everyone would see what a single human had done against 4 warriors. The galaxy was about to learn that it had underestimated humanity. And nothing would ever be the same. Floated in darkness for a long time. He dreamed of Earth, of stars, of a pair of amber eyes that watched over him like burning moons. Sometimes he heard voices, doctors speaking in urgent tones, arguing with everyone who came near him. Once he thought he heard her crying, but that seemed impossible. The third blade did not cry. When he finally opened his eyes, 3 weeks had passed. He was in his chambers. Machines surrounded his bed, pumping medicine into his body, monitoring his heart and lungs and brain. His entire torso was wrapped in bandages that glowed faintly with healing technology. Everything hurt, but it was a distant hurt, dulled by drugs. Sat beside him, she looked terrible. Her scales were dull, her eyes were red and exhausted. She had not slept, realized. She had not left his side. "You're awake," she said, her voice cracked. Apparently, his own voice came out as a rasp. How bad? You should be dead. She took his hand gently. Your spine was cracked in 2 places. Your ribs punctured both lungs. You lost more blood than your body contained. The doctors said it was impossible. They said no creature could survive what you survived. Humans are stubborn. Humans are insane. But she smiled as she said it, a small, broken smile that held relief and fear and love all at once. The recording spread. Everyone saw the fight. Everyone saw you kill 2 of House's warriors and drive away the others. You became famous overnight. Groaned, I just wanted to buy some souvenirs. You changed everything instead, squeezed his hand. They have never seen anything like you. A creature so fragile, so soft, fighting with such fury, refusing to die when death was certain. They do not understand it, but they respect it. In House's expression darkened. They made a mistake. By ancient law, attacking my bonded partner gives me the right to challenge their entire leadership. Every noble, every general, every warrior who knew about the plan. I can demand ritual combat with all of them. How many is that? 47. Tried to sit up. Pain exploded through his body. He fell back against the pillows. You're going to kill 47 people. That is my right. That is what the third blade does. She looked at him with those burning eyes. That is what everyone expects. But is it what you want? The question hung in the air. Did not answer immediately. She stood and walked to the window, looking out at the city that had watched her kill for 300 years. I have spent my whole life proving my strength, she said quietly. Every challenge, every war, every execution. I thought that was what made me worthy, what gave me value, what made others respect me. She turned to face him. But you showed me something different. You showed me that strength is not just about killing. It is about choosing, about deciding what kind of person you want to be. What kind of person do you want to be? I do not know yet, but I know I do not want to be a weapon anymore. I do not want to be the thing that everyone fears. She walked back to his bed and knelt beside it, her face level with his. You almost died because of me, because of what I am, because my enemies saw hurting you as a way to hurt me. That's not your fault. It is the consequence of my life, the consequence of being the third blade. Her voice shook. I cannot protect you from my past, but I can change my future. I can become something different, something better. What are you saying? Took a deep breath. I am going to forgive them. The next day, the entire empire watched as walked into the emperor's throne room. House waited there, all 47 of their leaders kneeling in submission. The law demanded their deaths. 3 centuries of tradition demanded their deaths. Everyone in the galaxy expected the third blade to do what she had always done. Instead, she spoke. I have killed more beings than I can count, she said. Her voice filled the throne room, calm and clear. I have ended wars. I have destroyed armies. I have proven my strength in every way they recognize. I have nothing left to prove. The crowd murmured in confusion. This was not how the third blade spoke. For 300 years I believed that strength meant domination. That respect came from fear. That love was weakness. She looked at the kneeling nobles. I was wrong. True strength is not about what you can destroy. It is about what you can build, what you can protect, what you can choose. She raised her hand. Everyone tensed, waiting for the killing blow. I forgive you. Silence, absolute, shocked silence. The emperor leaned forward on his throne. The nobles stared in disbelief. This was impossible. This was weakness. This was everything they were taught to despise. My human taught me something, continued. He taught me that connection is stronger than conquest, that mercy is braver than murder, that softness is not weakness but a different kind of power. She smiled, and it was the most genuine smile anyone had ever seen on her face. I am still the third blade. I am still the deadliest warrior in this empire, but I am also something new, something I choose to be. She turned to the emperor and bowed. My lord, I request permission to negotiate on behalf of the Empire with the human government of Earth. They have shown us a different way to be strong. I believe we have much to learn from each other." The Emperor was silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, he began to laugh. 300 years, he said, and you finally surprise me. Permission granted, Third Blade. Let us see what the humans can teach us. 1 month later, stood on the observation deck of a human diplomatic vessel. Earth hung in the viewport before him, blue and green and beautiful. He had not seen his in 15 years. He had not expected to ever see it again. Stood beside him, her massive form somehow gentle as she pressed against his side. The bandages were gone now. The scars remained, but they were healing. "It is smaller than I expected," she said, looking at Earth. "Most human things are." "Not all of them." She looked down at him, and her eyes were soft. "You showed me that small things can change the galaxy, that one person can matter more than armies. I just wanted to survive." "No, you wanted to live. There is a difference." She took his hand, her claws careful around his fragile fingers. "And now we will live together, building something new, something better." The diplomatic mission was waiting for them. Earth wanted an alliance with the Empire. They wanted the human who had survived the impossible to help negotiate it. They had no idea what they were getting into. But looking at the fire in her eyes and the hope in her smile, thought maybe that was okay. Maybe the galaxy needed a little chaos, a little surprise, a little proof that even the smallest, softest creatures could change everything. "Ready?" he asked. "With you," squeezed his hand, "always." Together they walked toward the future, leaving the darkness behind. And somewhere in the vast digital depths of the Galactic Compatibility Index, an artificial intelligence that no one fully understood noted the results of its most unlikely match. 99.97% compatibility, confirmed. Not because the human and the warrior were alike, but because they were exactly what each other needed. The algorithm had never been wrong. It had seen what they could become together. And it had smiled.